Hello everyone, this is Rachel and I'm here again with another process video. Today I am using the 6x6 paper pad from We Are Memory Keepers Farmers Market. I'm just going through and pulling out some of the ones that will go. I'm pulling this gingham pattern out. I really just like the gingham. I find another color I like better afterwards, so I don't actually end up using that orange one. I'm basically, in the video I did last week or the week before about my favorite layouts I'd done in 2014, there was one I'd done from a scrapbookgeneration.com 6x6 paper pad ebook they had, and it was basically taking strips of paper from a paper pad and doing that, and I had done one last year and I really liked it, so I took that idea of this, but I didn't actually do the sketch again. I just took the idea of using all the paper strips. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my photo down. Sorry, that's my cat. So I can make a matted grid, and I actually ended up cutting the photo down a little bit further later on. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting strips of paper, and I'm going to cut away from this in a little bit just because I have to do enough to fill a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I'd use that circle in another one, so I'm just cutting the edges off to go ahead and use up as much of it as I can. Now, this is actually a layout I'm doing for a website I belong to that is a recipe challenge, and I'll go ahead and tell you what the recipe is in a second. Right now I'm just deciding which ink I want to use, whether I want to use a color or neutral, and I decide on the neutral, and that's Wet Cement by Hero Arts. And I'm going to ink every single one of these. I actually use all but about 4 of them, so I needed to do it, for my own personal use. But I am going to cut away from this and just go to the end, because, as they say, ain't no one got time for that, to watch that. So the recipe for this is summer themed, and I'm doing pictures of my animals outside in the summer. Strip journaling, brads, washi, and bonus one is using a border punch, and I did use that. So I'm just using this gray-ish brown cardstock. I guess it kind of reads, it can read as sage. I don't know. It just, for me, it was like a neutral. What I'm doing is I'm drawing a line smaller than my 6-inch strips, and that's where I'm just going to put my glue down, because I know I'm going to have the paper go in a zigzag pattern. So I know, I just wanted to make sure the glue strips would be under no matter which way I was going. So I turn the paper this way because I find it easier to line it up than trying to go far away to back. And I'm going to cut away here too, because once again, this is just a lengthy process that I didn't feel you needed to see me go the entire lengthwise down. I really like these papers. They're not my normal. I usually work with a lot of teal and aqua and pink and orange and brighter colors, and these are more pastels, and I don't work with a lot of pastels, but it's actually quite fun. So I'm just getting the last of these on, and then I'm going to trim off the bottom of it right here. And I'm just kind of pressing it down, and that's when I realized that that top photo is still too large. So I just flip it over, and I use my other photos to mark where I should cut it. And I've gone to get a white piece of paper to use as a backing, and it's just, I don't know, one of those ones I get at Walmart, or Target or something like that, that I just picked up. So I go ahead and put all my photos down on there. And then after I cut it out, I went ahead and grabbed the wet cement ink again and inked the edges of this, just to keep it consistent. So these are pictures of all the animals last summer. We had a really not humid, very nice day out, so we took all the animals out, and they all just kind of ran around and had fun, and so I just thought it'd be fun to do a layout. I realized I hadn't cut the bottom part of that off, so I went ahead and did that. And they were all out together. The dog likes to play with the ferrets. The funny thing is the big ferret, and he's the one on top in the photo on top, he does not like to play with the dog. But the little ferret, she's half the size of the big ferret, and she loves to play with the dog. I realized my top piece is a little crooked, so I'm just trying to fix it. And it was also a little too far over to the right, so, because it kind of looked like it was slanting. Oh, I was trying to see how long that wood veneer piece, that's from the Teresa Collins 9 & Company, and I'm going to put washi tape behind it, but I wanted to put it under white because it was going to be going over 2 different pattern papers. It was going to end up being see-through. It's a very see-through washi tape, so it just didn't look right, and I ended up cutting it way too big, and then I ended up having to trim even more off from that fishtail. So I put that on. And as I've said a couple times before, I've been trying to use these Teresa Collins wood veneer, but they're very large. I end up using 3 pieces on this layout. Oh, look, it's my head. Fun. I end up using 3 pieces on this layout, the 2 banner pieces, and then I use the big wooden fox. I figure I'm not going to have a chance really to use a lot of those. This Hello Sunshine is from an old Studio Calico kit. The top part I'm fine with. The bottom part was going to hit that white strip of paper, unfortunately, so I wanted to back it with something else, just because you would not have been able to read that at all. So that's pretty much where that's going to stay. And here's the other banner, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it. I also have these very thin wood veneers from Studio 29, which is a newer, smaller company that has, it's a Project Life kit. I don't do Project Life anymore, so I don't get them anymore. But I use these 2 clouds and the sun as well. It's a very heavy, a wood veneer heavy layout, but I'm okay with that. I like wood veneer a lot. So there's that fox, and that's exactly where the fox ends up. Oh, sorry. My niece is trying out for the Connecticut Regional Band thing, and she was practicing, and I was conducting to make her laugh, because the auditions are tomorrow, so she's a little nervous tonight. So that was me conducting in 4 times the speed. So I've got that other banner, and I'm going to do another strip of washi tape and do the same thing. I do it a little bit better this time. Now I realize exactly how much I have to cut in. So anyways, as I was saying before, I am going to cut a chunk out of this. Mainly it's me gluing stuff down and then doing the title work, which is just, once again, something you don't really need to watch. So I'm getting this banner down, and I know what my title is going to be, and I'm waiting to glue the bottom part down until I get my title in. Yeah, there's a lot of talking with my hands this time, because my niece is in the same room as me, and she's rehearsing her piece of music. So she's asking me, does this sound better, or does this sound better, and stuff like that. So I am grabbing some of these Chamel American Crafts pop dots. They're thinner pop dots and other pop dots, and I'm putting a couple on the bottom of that Hello Sunshine, and I put one in the sun, and I ended up taking it off camera. I just ended up not liking how much it was making it stick up. What I did do instead is I took random ends of the strips of paper and I just popped them up with the dots. So I do that a little bit. You'll see a little bit of it here. I just took off the bottom part to stick it to the cardstock, and then when the camera was off, I went back and I pulled off the top ones so they wouldn't. I was afraid the papers were going to pop up and like end up getting ripped accidentally, so I didn't want that to happen, so I just glued the whole thing down. So in a little while it's going to switch to after I've glued everything down, and the video was running so long, I just didn't feel it was necessary to see me do that. So now I'm going to glue down my main photo thing. My main photo thing, that's very descriptive. My photo mat block. And then I remembered I wanted to use the border punch because that was part of it's a recipe challenge. So this is what's called specialty bakeware, that thing you buy you have to have but then never use. So I just used my Stampin' Up! Punch, and here we go. I have put down my title of The Great Outdoors, and then once I did that, I went ahead and glued down that banner with the washi tape backing. I take this mini flare from an old Studio Calico kit, and I put it in the middle of the sun, and I'm using brads, which are part of the recipe, and these are just incredibly, incredibly old brads, and it takes me a while to get them in. These are Making Memories brads, and I've had them probably for close to 10 years. And so I've just got one black one, one red one, and one green one. And then I make little clusters with Evilicious puffy stickers. So I use, in the bottom left-hand corner, a star and a circle with an arrow on it. And then in the upper left-hand corner, a heart and a star. And in the upper right-hand corner, a star and a camera. Just kind of giving it a nice little different look in every single area. I went ahead and I had glued down that fox when the camera was off. And that is pretty much going to finish it. Before I take the photos, I went and got some mist. I used the White Dilutions, the Tattered Angels charcoal, and Mr. Huey's Shine. I also, I'm sorry, here's the last part of the recipe, and that is strips of journaling. So I just wrote mine out instead of typing it up. It's easier for me to do it, and it's a very simple, most of my journaling is pretty simple. This is, with the beautiful summer weather upon us, even Sadie, Loki, Simba, and Nala were enjoying the outdoors, summer 2014. And I cut these apart, and it took me a little while. I had to get them smaller than I originally had cut them, due to the fact that I just didn't have a ton of room down at the bottom, which is where I wanted to put the journaling. So I cut them out, and then I ended up having to go and recut 3 or 4 of them. And these are just going to go down at the bottom. And that's when I noticed that is way too large. And it's actually much larger than any of the other ones too, so that'll pretty much finish up my layout. Once I do that, I don't show you any close-ups this time, and I also didn't show any after the misting. You're just going to see the misting in the photographs and at the end of the video. If you have any questions, please comment. Next week, I plan to do a challenge of my own as part of something I'm doing for a website I scrap on, and then also for the fact that I hit 100 subscribers. So if you tune in next week, you'll get to see that. Thank you so much. I love the likes and comments. It's great to hear from you guys. Thank you